TIFU not today, but I left my daughter outside her dance class for an hour. TIFU this happened 2 years ago. I dropped off my 7-year-old daughter to her dance class. The entrance is on the side of the building. I had my other 2 kids in the car, aged 9 and 11, boys. The boys were distracting me with their nonsense. It was a cold day. I went home. Her class ended in an hour. My wife was doing the pickup. My wife called me an hour later really upset. Apparently class was cancelled at last minute that day and neither of us saw the email. My poor sweet angel stood outside the dance studio crying for an hour. The doors were locked. My wife came home in tears. My daughter was in tears. I grabbed my daughter apologizing and I broke down in tears. She said was so scared and didn't know what to do. It's all my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I usually walk her into the dance studio, make sure she is all set. But that day I got lazy and let her do it herself. All future drop-offs I walk her in and make sure. Never again. I still get upset when I think about it. TLDR dropped off my 7-year-old daughter at her dance class. Class was cancelled and I didn't walk her in to make she was handed off safely. She was stranded for an hour crying. My mom forgot to pick up my brother from cricket practice. He was like 10 and all by himself. For 3 hours. This was over 20 years ago and she still eats herself up about it. And me being an older brother. My heart breaks still imagining him there all alone loudly crying. More than once my dad forgot to pick me up from kindergarten. I mean luckily we had half days and the rest of the school stayed until 3. But my teacher left at 12:15 when we were all supposed to be picked up. Kindergarten release used to be 11:45. I spent a few afternoons that year with the primary classroom. Turns out the reason the school couldn't call him at home was because he had fallen asleep in his truck in the school parking lot and little me didn't see his vehicle there to be able to tell anyone. That's rough. Get ready to hear about that for the rest of your life rolling on the floor laughing. I had a very similar situation happen after school when I was 7/8. I waited for an hour plus outside the gates for a lift that never arrived. Luckily my older cousin wandered past eventually and walked me home. He was surprised to find me for sure. I remember being annoyed more than anything. Because the walk home took 5 minutes and I could have done it without help. But I wasn't allowed. It happens. It wasn't intentional. Forgive yourself. Word of advice because this is one of my biggest fears. My phone plan let me add an Apple Watch to our ACCT for $5 a month. Increased to $10 per meter after a year. And it has given me so much peace of mind. I have my son's same age watch set to only call, text 4 contacts. He got let off at a bus stop that wasn't his. Substitute bus driver and my son was afraid not to listen. And we couldn't find him for almost 30 minutes. I went to Verizon that day and got him the watch. He uses it for school, bus, extracurricular. I put it in school time mode during the day. I can track it from my phone. I tell every parent I can about this because it's way less involved than a phone. Teach her how to handle a situation like that. Do you get her a cell phone? What establishments are okay to enter and ask for help? I'm usually against giving young kids cell phones, but situations like this make me understand why some parents do. Glad nothing happened to her other than being abandoned for an hour and she returned home safely. As an IT person, sending out a cancellation alert over email instead of over text was their mistake and I wholly don't believe any of this was your fault. People are absolutely inundated with email. And to top that off, a majority of small business owners don't even have their email DNSs set up correctly to authenticate their emails. So many of them go to spam junk across various email providers. Did you fail to walk her in? Yes. But if class was on, it would have been business as usual. Don't beat yourself up over this. I've been dropped off to canceled classes as a young child. 810 years. And even now as an adult I drive to appointments 3,060 minutes away only to find out that I missed an email that requested rescheduling. Do your best to assure your kid you love her. Explain to how what went wrong and that it won't happen again. Obviously it sounds like you did this already, but reinforcing her assurance that you've got her back never hurts. My parents forgot to pick me up at the airport once, 'cause they didn't remember what day I was getting in. I was 14 though. I just called them collect from an airport phone, and they called a nearby hotel, got me a room using their CC, and the hotel shuttle picked me up. The weather was pretty bad at that point, and they lived a long way away, which is why they didn't just come pick me up then. You made a mistake, apologized and corrected your behavior for the future. All you can really do. GIF. Situations like this are why I got my older kids watch phones. They can communicate about dance class and I can circle back in the parking lot. A few companies sell them. You control the numbers who call so no random calls go in. Damn. That's rough. Gotta keep an eye on those emails. Man. Hope your daughter forgave you eventually. My parents moved away when I was stuck at a friend's house because the bridge flooded. I climbed the apartment fence and saw everything was empty through the sliding glass doors. I was crying on the front porch when one of my parents' friends found me. It was my 10th birthday. Lol. My parents accidentally left me at the park for an hour before. I went looking for them, but once I saw our car was gone from the parking lot I just went back to playing the little swinging horse thing. I might been 5? This is my greatest fear. My son has 2 after-school clubs. I want to turn up an hour early just in case I missed a message about them being canceled. I'm on my way. Oof. That's a core memory right there. Going to hear about that one for a while. That happened to me but with soccer practice. I was 9/10, I think. It was getting dark so I walked to the Walmart about a mile up the road because that's where my mom worked, and used their phone to call my parents. I had a test I had to make up after school in middle school, so my mom was picking me up after school when she gets off work. Cell phones were fairly new and we were poor so we didn't have one. My mom forgot and went grocery shopping so I couldn't get a hold of her. My VP called the non-emergency police checking if there were any accidents in the local hospital. Nothing. I was terrified. My mother had never done this, and I was convinced she was hurt or worse. She finally came around 6 p.m. and was so sorry. She apologized to the VP, who bless his heart stayed with me instead of calling the police back to handle it, and apologized to me so many times. We can laugh about it now, but it was scary. She's a great mom, but her memory sucks, so we added some family members' numbers to my contact list after that JIC lol.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Haircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.